What's going on, guys? It's PokePond back with another video for you. We've got another nice long video where we're looking at all of the products that are breaking out right now in the sealed product market. I'm talking Perfect Order, Chaos Rising, my plan for moving forward with those sets. It's going to be a great episode. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Let's get into it. Let's start off today then by talking about what's going on with the market right now. I've talked over the last couple of weeks about us being at a bit of a crossroads in the market, about things are either going to start slowing down a little bit now, or at least by the end of the year, or it's just going to keep going more and more volatile towards the end of the year. I've said it's about 50-50 each way we could go. And when I talk about a slowdown, I'm not talking about a huge market crash. I'm just talking about just the volatility of stuff to the upside just easing down a little bit, and it's inevitable that that is going to happen at some point. I got some interesting comments when I mentioned that the other week. Viewers sort of said, oh, you and two other sealed collector, investor, pokey YouTubers are all of a sudden saying this week you got to be careful of prices. You're bullish all the time, and then all of a sudden this week you're all saying that you've got to be careful. What's going on? Have you had some kind of secret meeting that all of a sudden we're going to turn the market? Full transparency, none of that happens. I talk to some of the other big creative people. We are friends, but we don't watch each other's content. We don't, communicate regularly with each other. There's no big master plan for us to try and crash the market. Even if we did want to do that, we don't have that kind of reach to be able to do that. And there's very few people in this hobby that do have that kind of reach. So if multiple people that you put stock in and you think that their opinions are worthwhile in the seal collecting and investing space, and we all independently at the same time say, look, we don't think the market's going to crash, but we're starting to get a bit of that spidey sense going off. We're getting a bit of a feeling like this is getting a bit dangerous. This is getting a bit volatile. We can't maintain that. If three of us that are all, right up there in that space are all thinking that at the same time without talking to each other, then that should be a bit of a warning sign to you that the reason why we are good at predicting sealed product prices is because we've been doing this a long time, and you develop a sense of when things are starting to turn. I myself, this is, I think, my fourth full market cycle. I've seen hypes down, hype down, hype down, hype down. So I'm getting a good sense of being able to predict when this thing's going to happen. And it would be very easy for me to just keep making content saying, yeah, it's just going to keep going up and up and up and up and up and up. And I do think the good sets will continue to keep climbing. They're not going to be in as much trouble. But I do think when I say a pullback is due, and it is going to be due at some point. I think it's going to happen at some point this year. More than likely towards the end of the year. I still think we're going to have a really good summer. Like I said, I still think the best in class sets are still going to keep climbing up in price. But I think there's going to be a pullback in the scale of how quickly things are moving up. And I think that's inevitable. So that's where I'm at with the market. I think it's going to keep continuing going. I think it's going to be an absolutely insane summer as well. A lot of it depends on how much product we see coming out as well. If we really don't see any reprints or restocks of stuff like Destined, Prismatic, even if there's not enough Ascended Heroes going around, which I already think that there's not enough of, we could see some, again, very volatile prices on those best in class sets. Right, let's move on then. Perfect Order. Perfect Order is out now. Came out on Friday, so yesterday. I think it's been quite well received by the hobby. I think it's very much a sort of middle of the road set. It could do okay in time. We know that middle of the road sets like Paradox, Temporal, that kind of thing. I'm not comparing it to that because they're completely different sets, completely different artworks. But we know in time, even the less desirable sets on release do tend to increase in value as well. So my personal view on Perfect Order is there's no rush for me to buy any of it. I'm not thinking out of the gate, oh my gosh, there's an amazing Gen 1 card in there as a chase card, like a big Charizard or a big Mewtwo or a big Pikachu or something like that. So I'm not in a rush to buy it. I think that the general market sentiment is important here, because when a lot of sealed value comes from perceived value and demand, I think it's quite well received. I think quite a lot of it is going to be opened. Me personally, I'd just like to wait a little while longer and see how things go, because there's a lot of people in the hobby, especially people who aren't sealed collectors and investors, who are all talking about this is going to be the first MSRP set in a long time, i.e. it's going to sit on shelves for retail. Me personally, I think it could go either way. I don't think it's going to be a really expensive volatile set out the gate, but I'm also not 100% convinced it's going to sit around for MSRP. I think it's going to be cheap, especially initially compared to other sets. But I'm not convinced it will sit around, purely for the fact that I don't necessarily believe that they're going to print enough of it for that to happen. Now, yes, demand is going to be a lot lower than for other sets that have been coming out recently, but also I don't think they've got the supply side of things quite right as well. And everything is on supply and demand. So if demand is lower, then prices are lower. But then if supply is lower as well, could even out. It's a case of I'm going to wait and see how much of it is around. It could be a situation where we get a nice healthy wave now on release, and then we don't see any more product for 6 months. If that is the case, which is very possible to happen, then prices will rise. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Perfect Order. I haven't bought any of it yet. I wasn't available on release. Quite often I'm not available on release because I'm working. But I'm not in a rush to buy it either. I do think it's quite affordable. Prices could go either way, depending on how much supply there is over the next couple of months. We're seeing prices come down a little bit, a bit of a race to the bottom for people to scalp and sell what they've managed to get out in the wild. TCG Player, last sold for a booster box, $208. Multiple sales here of around about 202. Let's have a look at eBay. eBay, new listing tags are getting bought out straight away as low as $200. I don't think you can kind of lose at those price points. $200 is very reasonable for a new set, given how the market is right now. That does look like quite a nice, good condition booster box as well. You're seeing PC ETBs go in the range for $100, $105 there. That's actually an import from the UK. Let's find another one. Look, here's another box of Perfect Order going for $197 on a buy it now. That does look quite cheap. Yes, you are paying over retail. There are a lot of people, as I say, in the hobby saying that this set is going to sit for retail price. I wouldn't be so sure. Like I said, it's 50-50 whether it will go down, just depending on if enough of it is printed. Like I said, there is lower demand for it, but we'll wait and see what the supply is like. There's been a healthy amount that has come out yesterday on release day, but the real test will be to see what happens in 2-3 months time. Whether do we get big waves of it, do we get small waves of it, how much is around, how much of it gets ripped. I'm not in any rush to buy Perfect Order. I think at best in time, in a year from now, a year and a half from now, it's going to be a middle of the road to slightly above average set. So in the range of sort of pricing of Journey Together, Surging Sparks, that kind of thing. I can see it sitting in time at around about that $240, $250 range. If it does drop down to retail price, I don't think it will sit there for long, to the point where big box stores will have loads of it and then not be able to sell it for retail and have to fire sell it out like we saw at the beginning of the Scarlet and Violet era. I don't think we're at that point yet. I think that will happen when the new era starts, probably in mid-2027, when we get the Generation 10 era, when Mega Evolution era ends. And, yeah, I don't think you're going to get massive deals where it's just printed into the ground and you're picking it up for $150 a box, $120 a box, $100 a box. I think those days are long gone. And I think that if you are going to get anything sub retail, it's not happening until the next era comes out. Probably the base set of the next era, if it's not very good and they've sorted out the supply issues by then. So, perfect order. Not in a rush, but I think sub $200 is a very reasonable price. If you're buying that now, putting that away, I wouldn't bet the house on it. I wouldn't be putting, I wouldn't be buying cases and cases of the stuff. But if I get a good deal on a nice minty box like that, I don't mind having one or two of them in the back of my collection, and they can sit for a couple of years. I do see that pushing up over $300, $400 a box once it's out of print. We're talking about holding that for multiple years. It'll be at least 2 years until it's out of print. Probably at least 3 to 4 years for it to start pushing up to that $400, $500 range. I do think it will get there eventually. But I've talked about this with other sets as well, stuff like Journey Together, Surgeon Sparks, that you can buy these sets in at this kind of price point. And yeah, all right, in a couple of months you might get the chance to buy it for retail, but you also might not as well. And buying in at $200, you don't lose. If you put that in the back of your collection and you don't have a set amount of time where you need to liquidate it and get the money, if you're happy to keep it in your collection for between 2 to 5 to 6 years, that kind of thing, and you're happy for it to just get to a price point and then trade it in, perhaps towards some other sealed, or sell it, reinvest it. It's just good trade bait for the future, and I think that's quite a reasonable price to buy into this set. So those are my general views on Perfect Order. I think it will do fine. I think it looks quite cheap right now. There is a strong 50-50 possibility that it will get even cheaper within a little bit of time, but it's not bad. It's not bad for that price point. I could see it going up. Here in the UK, 166 quid for a minty one as well. That is a scalp, 100%. That person is not making much on that at all. Doesn't even look like a proper store, looks like a private seller. So they probably bought that for retail at around about 152. They're a private seller, so they're not paying massive eBay fees or anything like that. So they're probably making like 15 quid max off of that. And for not having to like queue up or do any of that, that is a really good buy-in. That is really cheap, and I'd be quite happy to buy in at that price point. As someone was, new listing tag, bought out straight away. Whether you like the set or not, that is basically retail on release day. Bundles look cheap as well, 30 quid. Let's just look at some other sets for comparison with that kind of thing. Okay. Bundles of Shrouded Fable at their cheapest were 25 quid. Now they're a lot more than that. I was going to go in heavy on Shrouded Fable on the 25 quid bundles, and I chose not to in the end and instead focus on best in class stuff, and I bought a load of other stuff at the time, which did very well as well. But 30 quid for a bundle is very, very reasonable. I know you're paying a little bit of postage as well, so 33 quid. Again, buy a few of them, put them away for a couple of years. They'll be worth a lot more than that. They'll probably be worth closer to 45, 50 quid before that's even out of print. Within 2 years, I think you make an okay profit on those. So there are deals to be had. Let's move on then. In fact, before we talk about Ascended Heroes, let's very, very briefly talk about Chaos Rising, which will be the next set to come out. I don't often talk about sets that aren't out yet, purely for the fact that we often can't see what the chase cards are or the SIRs until a lot closer to the time. So I don't like to make opinions on that kind of thing. However, because it is the English set, Chaos Rising is going to be an almost exact copy of the Japanese set Ninja Spinner, which we can already see all of. We can kind of get a brief overview on what's going on with it. Again, sentiment in the hobby is that it's a trash set and it's not going to do well. I would be reluctant to make that kind of a call at this stage. Yes, we can see most of the set, or if not all of the set right now. However, like I said, supply side, we don't know how much of that is going to be around. And I just get the Twilight Masquerade vibe from it. Twilight Masquerade, if you don't know, came out at a time when the market wasn't doing well. Okay, we had Paldea Evolved sat on shelves for $90 a box and no one would touch it. We were right at the bottom. There was no hype cycle. There was regularly product available of the Scarlet and Violet era. Everyone said Scarlet and Violet era is trash. You know, you had base sets sat around for, again, $85 a box, $90 a box at its lowest. And then Twilight Masquerade came out. And everyone said ahead of time, it's a trash set. It's going to be rubbish. It's going to be sub-retail. I pre-ordered Twilight Masquerade for 20% below retail. And you could buy as much as you wanted. Even from these online stores, you could pre-order cases of it for 20-30% below retail. And that's why, FYI, I never pay a case premium on anything. Because I come from a time... it makes me sound old now. I come from a time in the hobby where a case didn't have a premium on it. Buying by the case, even from, you know, secondary stores, was cheaper than buying the individual booster boxes. So to have a case premium on Modern and pay more because it's in a sealed brown cardboard box just seems crazy to me. I don't like that whole side of the market, sealed case premium. I've been very transparent about it. It is a play. People make money on it, but it's just not my cup of tea. Anyway, let's circle back. Chaos Rising. Greninja set. I don't think the Greninja looks too bad. Personally, when Twilight Masquerade was coming out, I didn't think the Greninja looked all that. I thought that Twilight Masquerade was going to do better than what everyone said, and it did. But again, no one thought that Greninja would be A, so popular, and B, be able to carry that whole set. I wouldn't be surprised if Chaos Rising comes out and it does similar to Twilight Masquerade. It's actually quite well received and everyone's chasing that Greninja card. I personally prefer the artwork as well on the Chaos Rising Greninja, but each to their own. We'll wait and see what happens. I am very reluctant, as I said, to write Chaos Rising off at this stage. We will wait and see what happens. But yeah, let's move on then. Ascended Heroes. Ascended Heroes is doing very well. Very well received set. Very good set. Still looking pretty cheap. I own some of the PC ETBs. I own some of the ETBs. They are going up in price. I still think that they are very cheap. If you are not into it yet, the ETBs aren't a bad play. We have about 4 weeks now until the booster bundles come out. That's when I'm really going to move into the set. I've been very transparent about that. I will be fighting all of you on day one release of the bundles on eBay, but I think there'll be plenty to go around as well. And it's not a case like I'm going to splurge loads of money on day one. I'm going to slowly buy into them, buy a few each month of the bundles, and I think they're gonna creep up in price. But I have no problem paying over MSRP on release day of the bundles because Ascended Heroes is already out. It's already proven that it's a well-received set. Prices have been rebounding off of this $100 mark. We kind of called it back here in the start of March that $100 is a really good price point for it, and it won't stay that way for long. This rebound off in price, I think, is quite interesting because a similar thing happened with Prismatic Evolutions. However, what I think is really interesting is it's rebounding off of $100, kind of how Prismatic Evolutions did, but the difference is Prismatic Evolutions was printed into the ground. Pallets and pallets and pallets of it available in Costco. So it's interesting that Ascended Heroes is having the same kind of bounce, but with nowhere near as much printing as Prismatic was. And that, to me, just speaks volumes of how strong of a set Prismatic is. It doesn't really tell me much about Ascended Heroes. I mean, Ascended Heroes is strong. It is a desirable set. And it's good to see it rebounding off of $100 and not going down to MSRP. Let's have a look at pricing then. So last week it was averaging around about 120. I believe this week it's about the same. Yeah, 115, 122, 116, 110. You're gonna pay around about that $115 range now for a Ascended Heroes ETB. I think that that's a very fair price to move into it. I think that in time it will follow in the footsteps of 151, Prismatic, Paldean Fates, and it will push up probably to $300 plus an ETB and beyond. I think that's pretty safe to say. So if you haven't moved into it yet, I don't think you're going to get it much cheaper than this. Last sold eBay US from this morning. New listing tag, $110. I think that's very reasonable with free shipping. I'd be quite happy to pay 115, 120, put that away for a little while. You will do well. But as I said, I'm just going to wait to buy any more. And I'm going to move into some bundles when they come out in about 4 weeks' time at the end of April. Last sold, eBay UK, slowly creeping up, but still, again, very cheap. 90 quid, 86 quid with some postage. The people who were really trying to time the market probably got in for an average price point of around about 84, 85. But to buy in now, come in a little bit later after we've seen some data for 90 quid. I think that's very, very reasonable. The PC ETBs are going a little bit nuts. Let's find one for you. Look at that, 2 going for 549. There we go, single one here in the UK, 300 quid now for a sealed PC ETB there. And in the US, let's find it. Let's find a PC ETB on its own. Why are there not just normal ones? There we go, $400 last sold, and that was yesterday for a PC ETB of Ascended Heroes. Kind of going a bit crazy, if you ask me. Let's move on then. Phantasmal Flames. Phantasmal Flames right here is a little bit broken on the price chart. It's funny to me how well Phantasmal Flames is doing, because everyone said that it wouldn't, and they got it very wrong. Well, not everyone, but most people in the hobby thought that this was going to be an MSRP set. And those people look pretty dumb now, but we didn't listen to them. We don't really listen to anyone in this hobby, personally. I don't watch many people's content. Occasionally I'll dip in when I have time, but I just don't have the time, to be honest. The reason why we started this channel was because when I was watching people make seal collecting and investing content, I felt that either my predictions were always better than theirs and more accurate than theirs, or I just went into more detail. There are some really good YouTubers out there, no shade on anyone, but a lot of them just don't go into as much detail as I was looking for, which was why I made this channel for you guys. I really wanted someone to just not only be able to do statistical analysis and technical analysis on the charts and be able to predict where things are going accurately, but also just be able to keep up with all of the market and all of the sealed in one place. That's what this channel is all about. Subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity, and I'll let you know when things are breaking out so that you don't miss anything happening, any moves, because it's a lot to keep up with every single week, and the market is moving very, very fast right now. So Phantasmal Flames, kind of similar pricing to it was last week. It is holding right up there, all-time highs at around about $370. You are getting a few cheaper ones though, getting dumped, people just taking profit because they haven't held it for that long, and there's just easy money on the table. You're always going to get that dump here for around about what, $30, just under 10% below market. $345 last sold on a buy it now. Look at this, PC ETB of Phantasmal on an auction going for $285. Those are creeping up now in the background as well. More boxes being sold here, $275. One going for $340. Don't know what's going on there. Is that a best offer? It's got to be, yeah, best offer. But yeah, that's about market. $270, $275 if you can get cheaper in this range. People dumping for well below, then go for it. Let's move on then. 256 quid here in the UK. again slowly creeping up there in price. These were around about 240 a few weeks ago. I think that Phantasmal is just going to do really well. Whenever we talk about buying sets on this channel, it's never about flipping or what can I sell it for in a couple of months' time. Obviously, it's nice when boxes move up a significant amount in a short amount of time. But it is what it is. When we're buying boxes and we're buying sealed, we are more than willing to be holding these for a couple of years to see significant gains. I'm more than happy to buy in and buy more of them at this 250 quid range, because I see it as an expensive box in the future. It's going to push $600, $700 plus in the next few years anyway. So why would I worry about trying to time the market or buying in at this point? Let's move on then to Mega Evolution base set. Another good set. I think that it's massively slept on. We said it was really, really cheap when it was around about this 240 mark. That made it one of the cheapest boxes in the hobby. And over the last few months, we've seen it slowly climb up to new all-time highs. And it's knocking on the door of $300. It is holding at this price point as well. Last sales of $289 on TCG Player. And you're getting a few sales here on eBay. Look at this, $270. Yeah, around about 270. There are multiple sales of 270. It's just difficult to go through and find multiple sales, just because when you search Mega Evolution, you're getting up all the perfect order, Phantasmal boxes, all of that. 270 is about market for it right now. I think that that is cheap for it as well. I still think it's undervalued at that price point. I would be surprised if they mass print this over the next few years. I think that Mega Evolution is going to come and go. And I think that blink and you'll miss it. It's going to be one of those sets where in 2 years' time, we'll say, oh gosh, why didn't we buy into this at 270? I think we'll be making videos in a couple of years' time going, oh my gosh, Mega Evolution base is now $600. Well, we know why that is, because they never printed enough of it. I can fully see a world where we're making that kind of content in a couple of years' time. And everyone said when Mega Evolution base came out, oh, it will be an MSRP set. Again, this same repetitive echo from the hobby happening on every single set. They said it on Mega Evolution base. Oh, it'll be everywhere. It's a base set. They said it on Phantasmal Flames. Oh, it's going to be everywhere. No one's going to want it. It's a short set. It's going to be MSRP. We're just hearing the same thing over and over again, and it's just not coming true. I don't know why people expect it to suddenly come true. Agreed. Perfect Order, Chaos Rising have more of a chance of going back down to that MSRP level. However, I don't think they've sorted out that supply side of things. So, I don't know. I think until they do, which they eventually will do, but it takes a lot of time. It might not be until 2027 that they actually start printing enough of product for it to actually sit around for multiple weeks at MSRP, and then you get the big box stores fire selling for below. It might be a whole year until they manage to do that, at which point Destined Rivals is starting to go out of print, and like GG, if they never print enough of Destined Rivals over this next year, it will get more waves, but if it gets minimal waves over this next year, Destined Rivals is going to do stupid numbers, and then all of a sudden it's out of print. I personally think that it's perfect timing for Destined Rivals. I really do feel that Pokemon Company International will start sorting out their mass printing right as Destined Rivals goes out of print and out of the window. I think that Destined Rivals will survive the big reprints, and I think most of Scarlet and Violet will. And once they start upping their capacity, you'll get late reprints of some of the later Mega Evolution sets, perhaps Chaos Rising, that kind of thing, and whatever sets come next. But I think the real focus is going to be on, right, let's cut our losses. We didn't print enough of Scarlet and Violet. We didn't print enough of Mega Evolution era. We're starting Gen 10 now in 2027. Let's just make sure there's enough product on the shelves. And that is going to make Scarlet and Violet and Mega Evolution era so much more expensive, not just for the fact that it doesn't get the reprints, but because people just aren't going to see value in the new era. When the new Gen 10 era comes out, even if they knock it out of the park and have the best chase cards, I still think everyone's going to be focused on Scarlet and Violet because it's going to be going parabolic at that point, especially stuff like Destin. Prismatic is really going to be taken off at that point. 151 will be taken off at that point. I'm talking about this time next year, guys. I'm talking about early to mid 2027. I'm telling you, everyone's going to be FOMOing in to Destin Rivals, Prismatic, 151, Paldean Fates, Paldea Evolve, Twilight Masquerade. It's gonna be insane. It really is. Anyway, let's move on. We're waffling on. We're going off of the track that we needed to go on. Let's get back on the rails. So, $270 in the US for Mega Evolution base. I still think it's cheap. Last sold here in the UK, $240 for a non-enhanced box. That makes it, again, on the cheaper side of things. You can get cheaper stuff in the UK. You can get Paradox Rift. You can get Temporal Forces, etc. But for $240, again, put that away for a few years. I don't think they're going to print enough of it. And before you know it, Mega Evolution base is out of print, and it will start climbing up to that sort of $500, $600 range. I can see it getting there as it's going out of print. Destin Rivals, we were just talking about. Okay, let's talk about Destin Rivals. One of the fastest growing booster boxes in the modern era. We called it from day one. That's not an ego flex. That is just facts. We went against what everyone said. Again, sentiment in the hobby was Destin Rivals on release. It's selling for $200, $220. Why would I pay that price? It will be MSRP in the next couple of months. We're hearing this same story throughout the last year, at least, on every single set that comes out, and every single time it's been wrong. so why would I assume that, Perfect Order and Chaos Rising are going to sit sub-retail? Now, I get it. They're not as good as sets, and I agree. They're middle-of-the-road sets, but I don't know, guys. If you're wrong that much, I'm not ruling out the possibility that they just don't print enough of Chaos Rising and Perfect Order for it to sit at MSRP for any length of time. It might not even get to MSRP. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'd like to see it, but let's move on. Let's talk about Destin Rivals. Destin Rivals is going to keep going. Okay, there is no doubt in my mind that this is a $2,000 plus booster box. It is currently selling for $600. How long it will take for it to go $2,000 plus, I don't know. Knowing Destin Rivals, I think it's going to do a similar move to Evolving Skies in the respect that it will climb faster than everyone thinks it's going to do. Everyone knew out the gate Evolving Skies was going to do well. I knew. I queued up for the release of Evolving Skies, and I got the build and battle boxes on day one. I've still got them in my collection, and now they're very expensive. I'm keeping those. Those are Grail items. And they're also personal to me. They're sentimental because I queued up and I got them. And I met people in the queue as well. So I do think that Destin Rivals will not necessarily go to the same price point in the same price time frame as Evolving Skies, but I think that it's going to continue to shock people, even though people know it's the hottest set. A lot of people, it's the psychology in the hobby. A lot of people, even when they know something's a hot set, for example, Prismatic Evolutions, everyone knows that's a hot set. Everyone knows it's going to be really expensive in the future, but they still don't buy into it. Like, it's just basic human psychology that people can't see what's right in front of them. They accept that. Let's look at the facts. Okay. So we know as a whole in the hobby, doesn't matter whether it's a hype cycle or a normal cycle, pretty much all sealed booster boxes increase in value over time. Okay. Another fact, the best in class sets increase a lot faster than all of the other sets. Destin Rivals is the fastest growing booster box of not just the Scarlet and Violet era, but also the modern era. It is also outperforming some of the top sets from the previous era, Sword and Shield. It is nearly as expensive as Brilliant Stars. It's pretty much as expensive. It's more expensive than Silver Tempest. So Destined Rivals has cemented it itself as best in class for booster boxes in the Scarlet and Violet era. It's important that I define booster boxes there, because we always talk about Destined Rivals being the best set, but it's not the most expensive. It's the most expensive booster box, but the most expensive set is 151. Purely, and I'm not talking about set value of singles, I'm talking about sealed. The 151 Elite Trainer box is going for, well, we'll look at it in a minute, but it's going for like over $400. And for $600, you can get the Destined Rivals booster box. If 151 had a booster box in English, it would be the most expensive, easily, by a long shot. So that's important to realise as well. But anyway, Destined Rivals will continue to run. Mark my words. It will push up over $2,000 a box and beyond. It will take multiple years for it to get there, though. Most likely. It's going to take, realistically, 4 to 5 years for it to go $2,000 to $3,000 a box. And that's just being realistic. I would be happily surprised if it goes faster. And that could very much happen. In 2 years from now, once it's comfortably out of print, it could be pushing those numbers. And that would be great for it to be. If it is pushing those numbers, it will be the most successful booster box of all time for the amount of time that it's been at. And it could happen with Destined Rivals. But either way, I'm very confident it will increase in price significantly. And as time goes on, and as we get not enough prints of it and reprints of it, I think that people will FOMO into it more and more and more. And these people that told you not to buy it for $220 are going to be the same people that are buying in at the $1,500 range, $2,000 range, because they missed out. And they wait and they wait and they wait, and then they FOMO in when it's like $2,000 a box. Destined Rivals will get there. It will, in my opinion, more than 4x in value. It will follow in the footsteps of Evolving Skies. It will just take quite a long time to get there. And I think that that's part of the problem in the hobby right now, is everyone just expects Destined Rivals to be $2,000 a box in the next year. The chances of that happening are incredibly unlikely. It has already been very, very successful, but to see those kind of parabolic gains would be something else. And I'm not saying that they won't happen, but too many people in the sealed hobby have seen what's happened over the last year and just see that as the norm. Oh, it's normal for sets to just go up 20% in a week. No, it's not. That is not normal. That is like best case scenario. Best ever case scenario. That situation barely ever happens, or it barely ever meant to happen. Over the last year, you could have pretty much bought any set and made significant amount of money in it in a short amount of time. It's not always like that in sealed. It's really not. Especially when I first started. To put things into perspective, we would be buying booster boxes and we were happy. Like, we would buy on release for retail, and we were happy if when it went out of print 2 years later, we'd made like $30. That's the norm in the hobby. And this whole sealed thing has just exploded. And over the last year, it's just gone absolutely bonkers. I've been putting away sealed product for 10 years this year. And it's even surprising me how well things have been performing over this last year. That's why I've made videos to say, like, look guys, even I'm one of the most bullish investors here in the YouTube space. I think everything's going to go up, and I'm saying this is scary territory. Like, we need to be a bit careful. But Destined Rivals, like I said, I don't see it dropping significantly, and even if it does, it's not going to be for any length of time. if I'm buying into Destined Rivals, even at this $600 range, I'm putting it away for years and years. So there's no doubt in my mind that it will be a lot more expensive in a few years' time. So it's holding at $600. Recently, we saw a few sales at that $600 range, but now it's becoming the norm. We've seen lots of sales over the last week at this $600 range, a few below at like $570, one way over at, where is it? I just saw it, $650, which is the highest I've ever seen a Destined Rivals go for. Last sold, eBay US, again, normal price now, $600. Buy it now. Let's look for another one. Look, $569. Apologies if you can hear that tapping. I think one of my neighbours is doing some kind of DIY or hammering or something. I'm not sure if that's picking up on the mic, but it is what it is. One of the downsides of living in an apartment complex. Very soon we'll be moving, hopefully, be buying a nice house later this year. Just doing a bit of DIY in my weekends. Going to be doing a bit of DIY this evening, doing up this place a bit, ready to sell it. I'm ready to move. Look at this though. Last sold yesterday. It's not the last sold, it's the second last sold. $629 now on a buy it now. It's continuing to creep up in price, and I think it will just keep going because they're not going to print enough of this, and there's just going to be more and more FOMO into this set for the people that aren't already into it. Last sold eBay UK, $414 on a buy it now, bought out straight away. Again, creeping up there in price, but still looks cheap to me. Really does. I think it's got a lot of room to grow. Prismatic Evolutions, we were just talking about. Prismatic Evolutions here has seen a bit of a pullback in price. I presume more has just hit the market in the US. Probably a small little restock, resupply is causing these price pullbacks because there's a lot being traded on eBay this week for cheaper prices. So I presume they're just getting scalped out of vending machines, etc. I don't know that for a fact though. And I think it's just going to keep going. Prismatic to me is still one of the easiest plays. We called it when it was $100. We told people to buy in. We called it at 120, 130, 140, 150, 160. I'm still calling it now. And this week, you're getting a discount on it. So great opportunity. I would have said buy in at the top of the market last week. I would have said buy in at that 210 range. But you can pick it up even cheaper this week. So great opportunity this week to move into Prismatic. It's on a little bit of a sale. Last week it was going for like 206. Now we're seeing some at like 180, 173, 173. Look, 12, so two, I was going to say two cases, but a case of ETBs is 10 a box. So there's a case there, you know, all going for like 163. That's super, super cheap, guys. Really good opportunity to buy in. eBay last sold $150, $128. There must have just been a big restock in the US and people are just scalping them. People are just getting them out of vendings and stuff like that for retail and just making a quick buck because market's way over retail. I don't think it's going to last for long. I think it will just very quickly rebound back up to that over $200 range and then just keep climbing. So if you can scoop one now for in this 150, 130 range. Actually, this 130 is from September. That's just eBay putting things in the wrong order. This one is recent though. This new listing for 150 looks like market is actually 170. 170, 180, 180. So it's still quite close to up where it was, but get a $20-$30 discount this week on Prismatic. Great opportunity to move in if you're in the US. Last sold in the UK, 200 quid. Again, this just looked really cheap, guys. Prismatic is going to be a monster. It's going to follow in the footsteps of 151, and it's just going to keep accelerating up in price. Hop on board. You can still hop on board for a very reasonable price point, in my opinion. 151. Speak of the devil, right. Right up there at all-time highs, holding at over $600, which is really strong for it. Is technically the most expensive sealed product in the era. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much going for the cost of a booster box of Destined Rivals, but obviously you get a lot less packs in it. 151 is technically like out of print, like pretty much right now, so you're not going to get any more of it. I think that people will continue to FOMO into this, and this set is going to be a monster sealed product set. This is a grail product. I could see it getting up to that $1,000 range. Again, I think it will take a significant amount of time for it to get there. But I think it will get there. And I think it's going to get caught up by a few other sets as well. I think that Paldea and Fates is going to start catching it up real soon. But we'll wait and see. It's hovering at all-time highs, looks very healthy, keeps selling at this 600 plus range. Multiple sales here. Look at this, 650, 655, 650, right up there at all-time highs. Very positive for it. Interestingly, last sold on eBay. Looks like a lot of auctions were finishing last night from the same person. Same little like business, and you can see multiple going for 450, 445, 445, 445, and then the last couple that sold, people obviously FOMOing into the last couple of auctions, selling 590, 610 for that. Me personally, it's like where I already own 151 ETBs, I would much rather buy a DR booster box for that kind of price, but each to their own. I do think it will go up. It is a Grail product. Yeah, not much more to say on that. Last sold eBay UK 414. Should we have a look at the PC ETB actually? Why not? Let's see. Last sold 1,300 quid for the PC ETB. Sorry, $1,300. And in the UK, it's going for nearly £1,000. 924 quid for a PC ETB at 151 here in the UK. I think it's going to keep going. I really do. Let's then talk about Journey Together. Journey Together, as I've said before, is pretty much trade bait. It is sat at around about 270. It's a slightly above average set, and that's where it's sat in the prices. Average sort of sets are all sat around about 260. That's around about the floor of the market. Selling for 270. Not too bad. I don't think it's the worst set in the world. I think that it will be a bit of a sleeper set. It's not going to make you rich, but it's a trade bait set. You know, you put that into your collection, you sell it in a couple of years' time for $500. You didn't really think about it too much, and then you reinvest that money into either new sets or something else that you would much rather have. Last sold eBay US. Look at this, 240. That is a massive dump below market. Like I said, market is 260, 270 on this. And there's always going to be people that are dumping. You know, it didn't perform as well as they thought, or they need the money quickly, or something like that. You cannot lose buying in at 240. At 240, that makes Journey Together one of, if not the cheapest booster box of the entire modern era. And it doesn't deserve to be there. Last sold, eBay UK. A hair over retail, like 20 quid over retail here in the UK for non-enhanced. 175 with a bit of postage, 172 all in. Creeping back up there in price because this was available for retail. We had restocks here in the UK a few weeks ago. You could scoop these up for like 152, 160, that kind of range. Creeping up there, back up to like 172, 175 now. Again, one of the cheapest boxes in the era right now. Doesn't really deserve to be there. There's value there. Put that in the back of your collection. That will gain up in price. Surging Sparks is super cheap right now as well. I actually prefer Surging Sparks to Journey. I hold a bit of both of them. Again, they just sit at the back of my collection. Don't really have to think about too much on them. It's really cheap right now. Last sold 245. Market is about 260 though. Look at this. You got 2 for 250 selling. Last sold in the US. You can't lose at those prices if you put them away for a while. Look at this. Someone scooped one. New listing tag. 230. That's a massive dump. That is the cheapest box in the era. Hands down. Was sold by someone with 0 rating. They've got kicks in their name. So they were obviously a sneaker reseller wannabe. Trying to flip a Surging Sparks. Maybe they pulled it out of a vending machine and got it for retail and they actually made money. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they've been hanging on to it for I don't know, 6 months, 7 months or something. It hasn't made the money that they wanted, and they're just dumping it now for whatever they can get for it. 230 is super cheap. Kudos to anyone who picked that up. That's why you subscribe down below, to keep up with prices, so that when you see this pop up to $30 a box for Surging, you know that that's an insane deal and you can just jump on it straight away. Because I'm telling you, that won't last on eBay for long. You can see it's got the new listing tag. Someone bought it straight away because they know that that's just a crazy low price for Surgeon. Last sold eBay UK. They're creeping up here in price here in the UK. Again, though, bought out straight away for 230. These were available for like 200-ish. 190, 200 just a couple of weeks ago. We had a very small restock of them here in the UK a few weeks ago. But they're already back up to sort of 230. And again, that's still really, really cheap. I think that Surgeon is going to push up, you know, $500 a box in a few years' time. I'm quite happy to keep it in my collection. But I'm not massively, like, into it. I don't have massive bags of Surgeon Sparks. I have some, and I will sell them when it gets to a price that I'm happy with. Paldean Fates. I've been talking a lot about Paldean Fates recently. It is currently at all-time highs. It's holding at all-time highs at around about $350. It is pretty much out of print now as well, going out of print in this window over these couple of months. You're not going to get any more of it. I think that it's incredibly cheap at $350, considering you get the Bubble Mew in it. I see a world where this catches up 151. 151 is going for $600 an ETB. I think that Paldean Fates is going to be in a similar position fairly soon over the next couple of years. And it's $350 now. $350 for a box that is almost guaranteed to go $600 plus and probably beyond. You know, double up your money in a couple of years. That's not a bad return. I mean, even if it takes, 5 years, which has been very conservative. If it takes 5 years for Paldean Fates to go to $600 an ETB, then you are getting a 20% annual return on that. And that's being very conservative. It's saying it will take 5 years to get that. I think it will take much less time for it to go up to those ranges. But those are my predictions. I put myself out there. I make those predictions for you. That's honestly where I see it going. Seeing that the data that I can see, seeing what happened with 151, I think that it's still massively undervalued even at $350, and it's creeping up. There you go. Last sale, eBay US, nearly $400 now. It's really starting to creep up there. People are starting to FOMO into it. Another sell here for $370. That's about where market's at. Closer to that sort of $350, $370 range. But people are FOMOing in. There's not a huge amount of it about for an affordable price. So yeah, to see one sell there for $395, that's quite a significant jump up. And that's not a best offer. That is a buy it now. That went through last sold. Yeah, $395. So Paldean Fate's starting to break out a little bit. I'm telling you, it's coming for 151. It's coming for that $600 range. Last sold eBay UK 276. Paradox Rift starting to break out again. It's funny to me when people talk to me about Paradox Rift, because they're like, oh, you hate Paradox Rift so much, you were so wrong, it's breaking out in price. No, I'm not wrong. Like, I knew it would break out. I knew it would perform well. I've always said that Paradox Rift will perform well. All sealed will perform well, but it won't perform exceptional like Destined Rivals Prismatic 151. That's where I'd rather put my money. And I'm very happy if you bought lots of Paradox Rift when it was cheap and now it's going up in value and you're making money. That's what I want. I think there's too much competitiveness in this hobby. And just all financial markets, really, and just in society as a whole. It's always very much, oh, I've done better than you, ha ha ha. No, that's not what it's all about, and that's not what this channel is about. I could easily sit here, as many content creators do, and say, just buy 151. And a lot of the people who own 151 will tell you to buy it because they own it, and they own a lot of it. I actually don't own a huge amount of 151. Well, I do. That's a lie. I don't own a lot of the ETBs. I own a lot of the bundles. But I could easily sit here and just say only buy 151 and never share anything else with you. Okay, the whole point of this channel is I let you know about everything that's going on. I'm not keeping the secret sauce to myself. Do you know what I mean? If I suddenly see Obsidian Flames breaking out and doing insane numbers, I'm gonna tell you. I'm not just gonna keep that play for myself and buy up all the Obsidian Flames on eBay UK. I easily could. And I could make a lot more money doing it that way, but that's not what it's all about. My goal is to put everyone in pole position. Okay, the more people who I can have being happy and making money and improving their financial situation, the better. That's what the channel's all about. So yeah, Paradox Rift breaking out. Great for everyone holding it as well. I'm very happy for you. 270 last week, 290 this week. I do think it's a little bit overpriced. I think you're in dangerous territories buying in at the 290 range. Last sold eBay US 290. I think this is closer to market. Bought yesterday 275. I think that's a good deal on a buy it now, but it is breaking out live right now. It is knocking on the door of $300. Personally, for $300, there's other sets I'd rather move into. I'd rather pay a little bit more and maybe get a Phantasmal, or I'd like to, for like $300, how many prismatic ETBs can you get for it? I would rather get multiple prismatic ETBs or bundles for that price range than a Paradox Rift. And that's what I talk about when I say that a set's a bad set. It's not that it's a bad set. It's that I think that its performance relative to some of the best-in-class sets will be worse. Your money can be safer in other prices where I see more volatile price action. Like, Paradox Rift could break out tomorrow and it could start going for $500 a box and everyone FOMOs into it. I think that that's a lot less likely, though, than Destined Rivals suddenly going to the moon and jumping up 30%. I think that that's a little bit more likely, in my opinion, because there's more demand behind it. And I'm very much a numbers person. Okay, I just look at the data. I try not to trade emotionally on the sets. If Paradox Rift is your favorite set, great, and it's going up, great, buy into it, cool. But I think you're better off buying into stuff like Prismatic, 151, Destined Rivals, that kind of thing. Last sold, eBay UK, 189 quid. Still one of the cheapest boxes here in the UK. I think the sub 200 quid Scarlet and Violet boxes are going to become a thing of the past pretty soon. They're almost already phased out. Could see some cheap Mega Evolution era boxes. You could see Perfect Order, Chaos Rising, that kind of thing in those cheaper, closer to MSRP ranges, but we'll see. We will see. Temporal Forces also breaking out a little bit. Positive to see, because I own quite a bit of it. But again, it's just stuff I've got in the back of the collection. I don't own a huge amount of it. It's just going to be trade bait for the future. It's not get rich overnight stuff. It's hold it for a few years, compound it. It's better than having cash in the bank and then trade it into other products in the future. 272 last week. This week 312 last sold. That's a bit of a breakout price. Another one 300, 290. That's kind of crazy for Temporal. Last sold eBay US 290 on a buy it now. There you go. Called it right now. Temporal Paradox starting to break out, starting to knock on the door of $300. Couple sales over for Temporal. I'm the only channel telling you about it. Even if I'm not the only channel telling you about it, I'm the only channel telling you about Temporal and about Paradox and about Destin and about 151. And I'm going to talk about Stellar Crown later as well. I'm the only channel doing all of that in one episode, letting you know all of these weird plays that are happening at the same time as the best-in-class sets are exploding up in price. A lot of these channels tend to just focus on whatever the hot thing is, whatever the hot breaking out thing is, like a 151 or Prismatic. It's easy to make content on that because everyone knows that that's what's breaking out. But how many people know that Temporal's breaking out over the last 4 or 5 days? How many people know that Stellar Crown's starting to creep up? Not as many people. I tell you, we're already a minority in this hobby, being sealed collectors and investors. And not a huge amount of us are watching what Stellar Crown is doing. But I'll bring that to you in a minute. Don't you wait. Don't you worry. Just wait, is what I was trying to say. Last sold eBay UK, 194 quid. Like I said, the Scarlet and Violet sub 200 quid boxes are going to become a thing of the past very soon. Twilight Masquerade, right up there, all-time highs. Again, massively undervalued in my opinion. Look, $340, last sold on TCG Player $334. So you're telling me, right, we've got Temporal Forces, a few sales here of Temporal Forces. What was it going for on TCG? It was going for 312 on TCG. 312 for Temporal. And Paradox Rift is, Twilight Masquerade is going for 314. So for $22 more, you can get Twilight Masquerade rather than Temporal Forces. And I think Temporal Forces and Twilight Masquerade are in the same block. I think they are. So they get out of print at the same time, I'm pretty sure, which will be around about this time next year. I think. I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me on that. It just looks really undervalued to me, Twilight, especially when Paradox and Temporal, which tend to be usually towards the bottom of the market, are starting to rise with the tide. I think that Temporal is... not Temporal. Twilight Masquerade is massively, massively undervalued. The Greninja in a PSA 10 is going for an expensive rate as well. That's going for over $1,000 last I checked, which was quite a while ago. But the value's there in the set. I know it's a Greninja or bust set, but it never stopped it in the past. I think Twilight Masquerade is definitely a good outside play right now. $335 last sold. eBay US, another one on an auction going for $330. I don't think it can go much cheaper than that. I think you buy that, put that in the back of your collection, you'll do well out of that. $250 here in the UK. For $250, there's not a lot else you can get for $250 in the UK. You could get Surgeon, Journey, Temporal Paradox, and not much else. Can you get Mega Evolution base? It's about that price, right? No, it's more than that. I've forgotten my own prices. Hang on. Let's just find it because I'm really, really interested at what Mega Evolution base is doing compared to Twilight. Let's do a little comparison. Where is it? Here we go. Mega Evolution base UK prices. Yeah, 240 on a buy now. Okay, so Twilight is like 300 plus. Ignore me. That was a bad comparison. In my head, it was 340. I don't know why I thought that. Right. Let's move on then. Where were we at? Twilight Masquerade. Here we go. 335 US, 250 UK. 250 is so cheap. Oh no, it is. Right, I'm thinking of dollars. So Mega Evolution base is 240. Twilight Masquerade is 250. That's crazy to me. That really is. So for $10 more, 10 quid more, you can get Twilight Masquerade. And it's a nice sealed box as well. Let's have a look at it. Look at that. That is minty fresh. Nice tight seal as well. We like it. Very nice box. Yeah, massive opportunity to buy into something like that. Not a lot of people are looking at Twilight Masquerade right now. And I do think it's a top 5 set. If we look back at Sword and Shield, the top 5 sets, your stuff like Chilling, Silver, Brilliant, they're all knocking on the door of $600, $500, 250 quid. That's a good buy, if you ask me. Let's talk about Paldea Evolved then. Paldea Evolved is kind of chilling at an all-time high. Not really much price action, going for around about 460 on TCG Player. Auctions here, around about the same price. eBay US last sold on an auction, 446. And I think people are just forgotten about Paldea Evolved. It's pretty much out of print now. For the longest time, it was the most expensive booster box of the era. It has been dwarfed now by Destined Rivals. Destined Rivals is now regularly going for $600 a box, which is 25% more. So, does Destined Rivals deserve to be 25% more than a potentially out-of-print Paldea Evolved? I think yes, but I still think Paldea Evolved is undervalued. And it's not really moving in price right now. Over the last year, it's gone up about $100. And I think it should have gone up a lot more than that when you look at stuff like Destined. And I'm not saying it's as good as Destined, but it's definitely a top 3 set of Scarlet and Violet era. I think it's, again, a great opportunity to move into a set that's very, very strong. $446. Last sold eBay UK 343 quid. It just looks cheap. It looks really cheap. It looks like it should cost more than that. Like I said, for the longest time, it was the king of Scarlet and Violet. Don't discount Paldea Evolved. It'll creep up there in price. Stellar Crown was what I briefly talked about earlier. No one's bringing you technical analysis on Stellar Crown. No one. I don't talk about it often, just because it's not like an in the spotlight set, and I'll only I still check the prices on everything, but I only sort of bring you these kind of sets when something's happening. So Stellar Crown is creeping, and it's at all-time highs already. It's continuing to rise up in price, and Stellar Crown hasn't had big reprints or restocks, and it's kind of being forgot about in the background. I can name multiple sets from the past that were not very popular, very middle of the road, and perform really well price-wise because they never got the big reprints or restocks. It's all supply and demand. There's always going to be a market for any booster box, for any set. It's not just for the fact that people will also like Stellar Crown, but for the fact that some people collect one of every sealed as well. There are sets, I'll name a few: Guardians Rising, Rebel Clash, terrible sets, but actually really expensive because there weren't the big reprints and restocks. Stellar Crown is falling into that category and it's getting forgotten about. It's already at all-time highs. In the last 3 months, it's up nearly 20%, and it's creeping. Every time I check the price on this is higher. It is now just breached $300 a box. $309, $320. It's benefiting from low supply. And when there's low supply, prices can move quickly. Markets can move quickly. Price can just suddenly start spiking up. Keep an eye on Stellar Crown. Last sold eBay US, way under, $270. That's like at least 10% below market for a nice minty box. Again, not something that I'm going to move into massively. I mean, I'm not going to buy any more of it now. Full transparency. I bought my Stellar Crown. I had that window. I bought it all for retail or below. Okay, most of it at retail. But if I wasn't already into Stellar Crown, these are the kind of sets. $270 puts it at that range where it's one of the cheapest booster boxes of the modern era. But it's creeping up there in price. Market is already 10% over that. Someone bought it out on a new listing tag because they knew that that was a good deal. And there's not a lot of people looking at it. The booster bundles are already up to $50. The ETBs are nearly $100 already. Keep an eye on Stellar Crown. People are sleeping on it, I'm telling you. I like it. I have some in my collection. Again, it's just trade bait for the future. You know, you buy into this for $270, you sell it in a couple of years for $500, and you trade that money, you flip it back in, you buy something else, whatever's hot back then. Right. Last sold eBay UK, $240. Still looking cheap to me. That's like what? Like let me work this out. So 251, 50, 90 divided by like 2. Sorry, just doing some retail calculations. So it's like 60% over retail right now, but no one's looking at it, and I'm telling you, there's not much of it around. In time, if you've got the patience to hold this for 10 years, okay, you buy one box now for 240 quid, you don't care about it, you put it in a storage box at the back of a cupboard or somewhere like that, you set it and forget it for 10 years, that box is going to be worth a lot. A hell of a lot, because There's not enough of it around right now. And I'm telling you, barely anyone is putting these away. So in 10 years' time, you can name your price for this product. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to hold my Stella for 10 years. I might do. But the low supply is what I'm trying to get at. The low supply on this product will carry it. It doesn't matter how good the set is. There isn't enough of it around. Maybe you'll see a big reprint of Stella Crown, and then that will not come true. But I'm willing to take the risk on that kind of thing. Like I said, I bought in for retail. So I bought in for like $170 into this. So I knew I couldn't lose at that price point anyway. It's already climbed up to $300 plus now. And I think it's going to keep going. It's all about supply and demand. That's what I've been trying to put across in these episodes. It's not about how hot the set is. That does increase the demand, but it's the supply that they can't get right. And they always mess up. Pokemon Company International always forget about a couple of sets in an era. I think Stella Crown is one of those sets that they're forgetting about and not printing. And once that thing goes out of print, there's not going to be many of them for sale for a decent price in 5 years from now, 10 years from now. The price will crank up. Let's move on. Sword and Shield era, the big boy himself, Mr. Evolving Skies. All of Sword and Shield era, I'm going to whiz through it pretty quickly, is pretty flat. It's all at all-time highs. It's all selling at where it should be. It's all poised and in a great position to have a good run. Probably over this next year, I think it's going to all start breaking out again and go up to that next level in pricing. Evolving Skies, we've had 2 sales over the last week on TCG Player. One for $26.50, one for $25.40. About market. $25.50, $2,600 is about market. Last sold eBay US, $2,400. There are more. Let's go through and see some more. $2,300. Again, not too bad. When you're at that kind of price point, you're happy to knock off a couple of $100 if you want to sell it quickly and you want to take some profit. There's a good chance that whoever bought into that is well up on their money, so they're quite happy to sell it for, 10% below market and take a massive W and take a massive amount of profit. So that's normal to see. One here, that's from the UK, ignore that. So it's like weird exchange rate. The pound is really strong against the dollar at the moment. That's why it's showing that someone almost paid $3,000 for it. It's just the exchange rate. It's probably a best offer anyway. Should we have a look? Yeah, it's a best offer anyway, so ignore that one. This one, though, let's have a look. This $2,700 is not. So another sale from yesterday on eBay US, $2,700. We've got to have a little bit of a laugh at this one because, again, they've got it on the scales. They're weighing the booster box. It's got a guaranteed Moonbryon in it because it weighs 112.2 grams. If it was 112.1 gram, I'm not paying the money. It doesn't weigh right for a Moonbryon. Full transparency, I very much doubt that you can actually weigh a booster box to tell whether there's hits in it or not. I just find it funny that this seems to be the new trend. We pointed it out the other week, and now there's another one. Just funny, if you ask me. But hey, maybe it works for that guy because he sold it for $2,700, which is right up there at not all-time highs, because we have seen some sales up at like 2,800, etc. A few odd sales, but that is definitely a strong sale and right up there. A little bit over market, I think. So, hey, if you get an extra $100, $200 by putting it on some scales in the photo, then I can't knock the hustle, to be honest. Last sold eBay UK, 2,200 quid, 2,300 quid. That is right up there at all-time highs here in the UK. Very, very attractive price point. 2 sales, both yesterday, right up there at that price point. Brilliant to see. Especially since I'm an Evolving Skies booster box holder in the UK. Not that I have any rush to sell mine right now. Fusion Strike holding at $1,000, has been for a long time. Last few sales, eBay why am I saying eBay? TCG player, 98 $980, last sold eBay US, right on the nose of $1,000, 1 cent off, 99,999. And last sold eBay UK, a little bit cheaper than it has been recently, 776 quid. Nothing to worry about though. Again, like I said, all of Sword and Shield, like the top sets, they're all just right up there at all-time highs or within 10% of their all-time highs. And they're all just kind of flat and stable. That's not a bad thing for them. They're in a very good position to just increase in price. And as time goes on, they will just leg up in price and start creeping every single day. More and more of these boxes go off the market for a couple of reasons. One, people are still opening this kind of thing. You think that they're not, but they are. Okay, people, even just not even businesses, not even rip and shippers, private retail customers, right now, every single week, are buying Evolving Skies booster boxes and opening them for the fun of opening them. That is taking sealed product away from the market. That is reducing the supply. Prices will continue to climb up over time. So to see them flat for a few weeks at all-time highs is not a bad thing at all. Also, sealed people as well. Sealed investors are buying stuff like Evolving Skies now for $2,500 and just taking them off the market. That box might not hit the market again until it hits 5k, 7k. So again, more and more are just coming off of the market, going into private collections, getting opened up, getting damaged as well. Stuff is always getting damaged from fire and floods and even just carelessness. You know, people accidentally putting a hole in it or crushing the box or dropping it or all sorts of reasons. All of these sets are reducing down in supply, and it's very important to realize that. So when you see things holding at all-time high prices, that tells you that buyers and sellers are at that equilibrium where they're both happy with market price. And when people are happy and equal at an all-time high price, the price is only going to go up because they're not making any more supply. So the supply shortage and reduction is going to affect the supply and demand model and just keep pushing prices up over time. I would not be concerned at all even buying into stuff like Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, Lost Origin at all-time high prices now. As long as you're willing to hold them, they will run again. And they will run significantly, and people will FOMO into them, and their prices will go insane again. Mark my words. Brilliant Stars, same thing, right up there at all-time highs, right up there at $600. We'll zip through Silver Tempest, same thing, knocking on the door of $500, bouncing around $500. Crazy to me that Silver Tempest is right at $500 and Destined Rivals is selling for like 600, 620. It's just crazy. It shows us how much demand is behind Destined Rivals. Chilling Reign, a little bit off of its all-time high. Had a bit of a correction, but still just chilling around $500. It is down about $14. But I think $500 is a fine price point for it. And again, like with the other best in class Sword and Shield sets, I think it will just continue to rise up over time with the tide. Let's finish off the episode by talking about something a little bit different, as we like to do at the end of each and every episode, because that's a lot of intense price analysis and data and buy this, don't buy this. We like to just calm things down at the end of the episode. So we quite often have a look at what's been selling on eBay US and just pick out something interesting and talk about it. Today, we are having a look at the Pokemon Prismatic Evolution Tech Sticker Collection, and we'll get it up larger on the screen for you here. So, the reason why I pulled this up is historically in sealed collecting and investing, the best items to buy are your booster box, if that's available, your ETBs, your PC ETBs, your booster bundles. The outside plays, or not the outside plays, but the less popular sealed items that do continue to run still are your sleeved pack, your blister pack, and your triple blister. Text sticker is a fairly new thing in the Scarlet and Violet era, and it is essentially just a 3-pack blister with a sticker and a promo. So it's basically a 3-pack blister. 3-pack blisters do perform quite well. They never perform quite as well. They're not as desirable as the booster box, the ETB, whatever the main thing is. However, the reason why I brought this up is because 3-pack blisters do perform quite well. They are a great way to buy into a set if you can't afford the big thing, like the ETB, the booster box. And coming from someone who, especially when I first started out as well, was living paycheck to paycheck. I don't have a huge amount of disposable income to invest. And we all reach different levels of financial situation at different times. Maybe you might have a baby on the way, or maybe you might need to pay to fix up your car or something like that. Not everyone always has enough money to put towards Pokemon investing and collecting, and sometimes you want to buy into the top sets and they're just too expensive. You're getting priced out. I mean, a booster bundle of Prismatic is still quite expensive. You're talking about what, like $70? That's quite a lot for some people to shell out. So I wanted to highlight the Prismatic text sticker collection, in particular this sale. This sale happened like yesterday, I think. Yeah, this morning, actually. Not that long ago. Saturday, 28th of March at 12:49 a.m. So like last night. Pretty good value for money. 3-pack blisters, or text stickers, which are the same thing, do rise up in price as the set goes up in value and as the other sealed goes up in value. And you're getting pretty good value here. So for $32 and some postage, so probably about $35 all in, you can get into Prismatic Evolutions. You can get into sealed Prismatic Evolutions. This is quite a cool product as well. Usually they're just sort of like white in the background and stuff like that. It actually looks quite appealing. You've got a nice Glaceon promo as well. You've got the Evolutions on the front. It's nice and blue. It's a cool product. It's easy to store. It's a great set. And it's cheap to buy in. And it's cheaper pack to cost ratio than getting a bundle or an ETB. So let's have a look at the bundles. Bundles currently last sold. That's a UK one. Here we go. US, $72. And that's discounted from $80. But $72 plus postage. So let's say $75 for a bundle for 6 packs. For $35 all in, you can get 3 packs. Now, I know it's slightly less desirable than a bundle, but it's half the price. It's a cheaper entry into a set. And I know from experience that sometimes if you haven't got enough money to put by, or it seems a lot to spend, $75, $80 on a bundle, it seems too expensive for a lot of people's budgets. But perhaps spending $30 every once in a while doesn't seem that much, and you can buy into one of the best sets, and I'm very confident that these 3-pack blisters will continue to increase in price as the ETBs and the bundles do. So I wanted to point that out to you guys, that you don't always need to buy the hottest thing or like the hottest sealed product. I only focus on them because I haven't got enough time to go through every product. If I say that a set is good and investable in, that means all of the sealed product are. Now, this probably won't grow as fast as the bundle. It won't have as much of a premium on it as the bundle or the ETB. But as they increase in price and pack price goes up, so will this. So you do have options out there. I also love sleeved packs as well. You can't, unfortunately, get sleeved packs for Prismatic Evolutions because Prismatic is a holiday set. I wish they did it, though. I wish they did sleeved normal packs with the proper artworks of Prismatic Evolutions, I would buy loads of them. I know you can get Check Lane blisters, like the single packs with a promo. I think that those are often a little bit too overpriced, but these 3-pack ones are usually a little bit better value, I think. So there you go. Wanted to bring that to you to end the episode. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Please do hit the like button. It's all that I ask for you. It really does help push my content out there further. And if you've got this far in the video, thank you very much for your support. You are the real MVP. You are the real VIP. Very important pond. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and peace.